We're down to organizing this bit in here. Not too bad. Shouldn't take too awful long. We've got to move the forge, the anvil. I think I'm going to move my leg vise, put it over here somewhere. I moved this over here already, so once I get my crane rail in, which once we get this organized, that'll be the next step, is getting that crane rail in here and see what happens. A bag of railroad spikes. Parts to our metal lathe. 12-volt water pump. As we do this, I really have to think this through because I want my anvil as close to the center of this space as I can get it. The reason being, when you're pounding on that anvil, that steel slag and sparks are going everywhere. So the more centralized I can get that, the better. The other thing I have to think about is it has to be a fairly short distance to both forges. So probably the best spot for this anvil, I'm thinking, is going to be right about in here. I'm within a reach of the coal forge, and if I move my gas forge right here, I'll kind of be within reach there. I could also put the gas forge right here, and that would be all right also, because reach in, grab the piece, and I can also reach in, and I'm right here by the forge press. So maybe the forge would be better right here, anvil say right here, which is kind of where we started with the anvil. The other thing I have to consider is when I set all this stuff up, I actually do have to think about filming. That is a big thing that a lot of you watching may not think of when you're watching these YouTubers like myself. When we're doing shop videos, you always have to keep in mind the way you're setting things up that's going to work best for the camera. The tripod, believe it or not, has a good size footprint on it, so you have to be able to set it up. And believe it or not, before we started in here, I couldn't move that tripod anywhere. That's why I knew it was time to get this done. So if I have it centralized, I've got plenty of room to set that camera pretty much all the way around it. And we have to go through and put GoPro mounts all over because it's real nice just to go through and do it. We've done it up in the wood shop before. It's not too hard to do. That's the nice thing with the GoPro, is you can put it anywhere. I better be careful moving this guy. Right there wouldn't be that bad. And there's enough room for me to run the coal forge. Not that it's perfect, but it kind of keeps it out of the way of everything else. I could probably come this way a little bit more. Somewhere in there. But yeah. Just for the fun of it. So that gets me right to the forge press. If I come through and I put the anvil right here, that'd be perfect. That would be perfect. This is pretty much where we started with the anvil in here once we did this big wall across here last year. Yeah, I think that'll work. North wind is going tonight. Woohoo, almost touched it. You know, it would be kind of wrong to start setting this up and not test it out. I mean, we got to make sure it works the way I want it to, right? Let's fire up the forge. Woo! B-tank works a lot better for that. There we go. Had to relearn it for a minute. Another reason I'm doing a test run in here like this, let's see how hot this gets. I want to make sure it's not anywhere where it's going to set this on fire. The beauty of this style forge is when I'm done with it, I shut it off, I can walk away. The coal forge isn't like that. You have to watch it for a long time. But, I mean, it's warm, but it's not, definitely not hot. If we have to, we can move it over, because I don't use the coal as much anymore now that I have this thing. Now, it's really hard to tell forge colors on camera like that. You see how it's almost white looking in the camera lens in there? That forge is actually in between a bright orange and a lemon. It's a nice forge temperature for doing the bigger billets, but I put my billet in there and I just wait for it to get the same color as the forge before I pull it out and start working it. I can already tell you that this thing right here is going to turn into a swedge block, and we're actually going to make it its own and mount it right on the floor. To give you an idea of the shape I like for the eye of my drift, it's a little bit more oval than your standard American ones. It's kind of a little more of a Swedish, so it's a little bit of a beefier eye. It gives me a little more handle material in there. Now we got to draw out those cheeks and start shaping the head. I can say this setup's not too awful bad. And I have room to put my feet up on the anvil again. That's kind of nice. So I kind of like that. I think I'm going to move that a little bit closer to the coal forge though. The post gets warm. I mean, it's not horrible, but it does get warm, so we'll move it over a little bit more. It's not going to set the place on fire, but just for peace of mind. So we got a lump of something with an eye drifted into it, but the grinder takes care of a lot of that. As I get better at it, will definitely be much less grinding. I need to make some dies to do the cheeks, because the ones I have are just way too long and they're not going the right direction. So we have plenty of dies and tools to make for the forge press for this stuff. But we're just going to keep going. I was just dying to try it out, you know what I mean? Sitting here, I kind of had to see how well this was going to work, and pretty much what you see, what we were just doing, that's going to be the process most of the time. Anyway, I'm going to go in and have me a tall, cold glass of water because it's hotter than hell in here right now. I ended up opening the doors on both ends all the way through the barn to get a cross breeze, so I'm not too worried about heating it this winter. I think the forge will do it just fine, and plus we have the sawdust burner. So anyway, thanks for watching everybody. I hope you enjoy it, and I'll see you on the next one.